Coatings Inc. 3000 laptop, power lane deposition system. Here's our controller here. We have it in idle mode right now, so this is how you'll have it set up just prior to doing the deposition. And of course, first of all, you'll have to load up your, I'll show you that on the side here. You load up your dimer into the vaporizer here on the left hand side. We'll go over that later. But I just want to show you the controller. So we're seeing our vaporizers at 27C. The door's at 32 right now. It's in idle mode. And the 650 is your pyrolysis tube, and this is your post heater. So you're at 650 in a tube, and right now you're at 233 and for the post heater. And this is your vacuum indication right here. We're at 11 microns. And we have our cold probe located inside the its port right there, and it's running at minus 80 degrees Celsius. And just to quickly go over this, first thing you would do is hit enter. Press and hold enter. This is explained in the manual that you'll receive. You do have a copy of that, and we're running recipe number 2 right now. And by hitting the next, we can edit that just to look at it. So I have a quick ramp soak. So this is 5 minutes. We're going to ramp to 57 degrees in the vaporizer, and a 2-minute soak. That's step 1. And it allows you to step through it. If you need to change it, you can use your plus or minus here. So as you can see, it's flashing under the soak 1 right now. And again, this is just a quick program just to show that the temperatures will rise and that the system is working. Again, this is a 5-minute ramp to 100 in the vaporizer, 2-minute soak. And we'll step through that. Ramp 3 up to 120. 5-minute ramp, 3-minute soak. Just by hitting the next button, we're stepping through it. This is your ramp 4, which is your final ramp. We're going to ramp to 130. 5 minutes and soak for 5 minutes. The door is always 10 degrees above what the vaporizer is, so that's what that number indicates. Back 1 is how low it has to be before the start command will operate, and that's 15 microns. And then after the process is done, it'll pump down to 21, and then it'll turn off the vaporizer and door heaters. Here's where you set your pyrolysis tube temperature and your post-pyro temperature. So we're at 650 and 220. And then finally, there's 3 other pre-gauge and chamber. This unit does not have heaters for those, and this is really has no effect on the system right here. So once we step through that, it's going to write and save that program every time you exit it. So right now we're loaded in with recipe number 2, as I just shown you. And while we're here, you come over to the side here. I just want to point out a few things. This is your main power to the system. The power requirement is I have 208 single phase with a neutral and a ground, so that requires 4 wires, 2 phases, a neutral and a ground. This turns on your fixture drive. I'll point that out later. It's over on the side. That's where your fixture is loaded in, and then your chiller. Power for your chiller. There's a plug in the back. You may have seen that when we did the walk around. The power for that is here. And here's your door. Right now we're on the back. We're ready to run the recipe. So what you would do is once you vent up your entire system here, you can open a door. It's recommended you wait for it to at least drop down to below 100 degrees Celsius. Be careful, it is hot. And then you can load your dimer into the vaporizer right here. Coming across here, we do have your front chamber here. That's where you load up your work. Right now we have a it's moving. It moves very slowly, but it is moving. You can see it's spinning. We do have a couple of plates there that you can load your work on. We'll show that later when I vent it. And then here's your cold probe, and that's to stop any unused up dimer from entering your vacuum pump, which is located inside here. vacuum pump by using your main vacuum valve here, which is now open. And you can see it's cold here, so it's at minus 80 degrees. This is your evacuation valve. So this will evacuate your entire system. If you need to isolate it to vent it, you would then close this and then open your vent valve. Quickly looking inside here, I'll just point out a few things, and then we'll go ahead and run the program. Here's our vacuum pump with our vacuum gauge here, and it is being exhausted to the back. So that line you see in the back is your exhaust for your vacuum pump. Looking down, here's your vaporizer chamber. Well, actually, I can open the front door here. Just open this up real quick. Point out a few things, and I'll close it up and run across. Okay, over here to your left, that's your vaporizer heater, your post pyrolysis heater, and your pyrolysis tube is right here. So this is at 650. This is at around 220, and then we're going to control our vaporizer. So this will rise up to the program we have right now, rise up to about 130. Move across this way into your deposition chamber. You see this little motor here is with the belt is turning that your fixturing inside, which I'll point out when I come to. Then it goes back through your cold probe. You have your isolation valve here into your vacuum. Okay, so it's recommended that, as you've seen in that recipe, that you need to be at least 15 microns. It may take a while to get down to that point, depending on what you loaded in here, you know, because of your load. So typically you'll load everything up, turn your cold probe on, and load your dimer and the vaporizer. And then allow it to pump down to below 15. Recommended. So as you can see, we're at 12. We're at 11 microns right now, so I'll go ahead and hit start. And you'll see that the process will begin. Now, it's just showing you what the temperatures are. We're in segment 0. It should start up into segment 1. It checks for the vacuum pressure. And you see we're at 10, so it's below the 15 that we put in our recipe, and now segment 1 is starting. And at this point it's going to start bringing up your door and your vaporizer. You see that's going to be a 5-minute ramp. So we'll come back here later and look at the temperature rising. So basically what's happening here is your vaporizer and your door temperature is going to rise up and start to vaporize your dimer. Again, this is just a sample. I have no dimer in the system. The system has been completely cleaned out. The oil has been changed and it's been leak tested. So the system is ready to go. You just need to add your dimer and your work that you're going to deposit onto the deposition chamber. So we'll come back and look at a couple more of the segments. Okay, here we're in segment 7. We're ramping up to the 130 degrees for the vaporizer. Just one thing to point out, in order for the process to end properly, the vacuum has to go above 21 microns, and which would happen if you had dimer in there, would be vaporizing and the pressure would go up. So I'm going to have to simulate that by opening the vent valve when we're in near the end of segment 8. So we'll come back then and simulate a vaporization and end of process. All right, we're back. We're 3 minutes into the 5-minute segment 8 of the soak at the 130 degrees for the vaporizer. Typically, you would be seeing an increase in pressure due to the dimer evaporating. So what I'm going to do is I'll simulate that by opening the vent valve real quick, and you'll see the pressure rise, and then when it does eventually fall below the 21, the recipe will end. It'll take a few minutes to pump out. So I'll go ahead and do that now, and you'll see the pressure increase. see the pressure, the vacuum pressure is now reading around 1100, 1200 microns. And we're in segment time 4 minutes into the 5 minutes. So once it pumps, finishes the 8th segment, times out, and a vacuum gets below 21, the recipe will end, and at that time the vaporizer and the door will begin to cool. Okay, that's it. The recipe has ended. Just one thing to point out, the vaporizer and the door, for some reason in this program, are reversed. So the temperatures are correct, it's just the labeling. This should be door on the left and vaporizer on the right. Okay, we'll come back later, and once the vaporizer and the door cools down a little bit, they generally recommend it to be at least below 100 C. Before you open it up. We'll open up the vaporizer door, and we'll take a look at the fixturing that we have here in the cold probe. And I'll go ahead and shut the fixturing motion off, as well as the cold probe, by using our circuit breakers here on the left hand side next to the main power. We'll go ahead now and we'll close off the main vacuum valve. Right here. We'll open up the chamber vent. Alright, so we have the chamber vent complete. I'll pull out the cold probe just so you can take a look at it. Stand it up there. Lift our deposition chamber. O-ring back in place and stuck to the lid, and I'll pull out our fixturing so you can take a look at that. There's 1, 2, 6 shelves you can place your work on. Alright, that's it.